How many of you have heard that canola oil is bad for you, including my own book, The Plant Paradox? Now I know what you may be saying. What the heck, Dr. G? Why did you change your mind about something you've been warning about for so long? But here's why I recommended organic canola oil on a Really Good Cry podcast recently. First of all, canola oil has gotten a bad rap over the years, mainly due to how it's grown and processed, not because of the oil itself. Now, many people think that canola oil was genetically modified from rapeseed. That's not true. Rapeseed is an incredibly popular oil in Europe. It's used throughout Europe. It's grown everywhere. And rapeseed has a toxin that in the 1950s, because of adulteration with a batch of rapeseed oil, several people, about 50, became violently ill. And it was chalked up to rapeseed oil and this toxin. In fact, it wasn't anything of the sort, but it had an effect. So what happened through the years is Canada hybridized canola oil, rapeseed oil, to eliminate that toxin. Most people think that it was genetically modified, but that's not true. Now, the problem is that canola oil in Canada and the United States has been and is usually sprayed with glyphosate, Roundup, to make it easier to harvest. The same as our wheat, the same as our oats, same as our soybeans, same as our corn, even though they're not genetically modified. And that's why I originally asked people to avoid canola oil. So let's separate, though, now that there is organic canola oil, why it's worth you looking back into. So remember, it's derived from rapeseed that's low in uric acid, and it's been hybridized out. Canola oil is naturally rich in monounsaturated fats, the same fat that's in olive oil and avocado oil. It's rich in plant sterols, but it's got quite a bit of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a short chain omega-3 fat. Now, that's really important because one of the most important heart studies ever done in Europe was the Lyon heart diet trial. It's actually the Lyon heart diet trial, but nobody can pronounce Lyon. And it was done in Lyon, France. Half the people were put on a Mediterranean diet, but they were made to use a margarine made out of rapeseed oil. The other group followed the low-fat American Heart Association diet. These were people who had a heart attack. They were followed for 5 years. The trial was stopped after 3 years because the group getting the rapeseed oil margarine had so few heart attacks compared to the American Heart Association that it was unethical to continue. Now, here's the deal. When they broke down every part of the diet that people were doing, the only difference between the two groups was the amount of alpha-linolenic acid in their blood, ALA. So only the rapeseed / canola oil group was getting it from their diet. And that was the only difference. Wasn't different in cholesterol, wasn't different in anything else, just the amount of alpha-linolenic acid. So that makes a very, very strong point for canola oil as long as you don't spray it with Roundup. I mean, it has a great neutral taste. It has a very high smoke point that makes it a very versatile cooking oil. So what are the health benefits of organic canola oil? Again, it's one of the easiest ways to get alpha-linolenic acid into your diet on a routine basis. And if the Lyon heart diet study is any example, that's a really good way to support your cardiovascular health. There are even more compounds that have even better amounts of alpha-linolenic acid. And you know, in my books, I promote perilla oil is probably the best. Also, ahi flower oil is another great one. Now, The omega-3 and omega-6 balance is important in oils. And organic canola oil provides a much more balanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 than all the other vegetable oils, except for flax and krill oil. Now, you have to have both. Believe it or not, omega-6 fats are not evil. It's an essential component of the mitochondrial membrane. The reason omega-6 fats are called essential is because they're essential. We don't make them. We have to acquire them. And they have to be used in our mitochondrial membrane. The problem is our American diet is overloaded with omega-6 and not enough omega-3. Canola oil has naturally occurring phytosterols, which can help block cholesterol absorption. If you worry about cholesterol, that's a good thing. It's got a pretty nice vitamin E content, which supports skin health and immune function. Now again, why is non-organic canola a problem? Sadly, it's sprayed with heavy doses of glyphosate, Roundup. The non-organic crops are treated with synthetic herbicides, which are known endocrine disruptors or potential carcinogens. Why do they do this? Well, it is much cheaper and much more efficient to spray these herbicides to kill the plant as a desiccant. Drying out the plant cuts down on harvest costs and when a plant can be harvested. And what does glyphosate do to the body? Well, as you know, Bayer now owns glyphosate, Roundup. They bought Monsanto. And Bayer now is paying out, I think it's up to $8 billion to victims of Roundup for cancer. That's just the start of it. We also know Roundup, glyphosate, is a really good way of killing off your good gut bacteria. Now, how can we know that this organic canola oil isn't contaminated by nearby fields using glyphosate? Well, we don't. But organic canola oil is grown without these chemicals. And remember, it's not GMO. It was never GMO. And organic is grown without herbicides. Cold pressed, minimal processing organic oils are usually cold pressed, meaning no high heat or harsh solvents were used, which preserves the integrity of the nutrients. Finally, there is an environmental and ethical impact. Organic farming supports soil health, biodiversity, and lower pollution levels. So, organic canola oil, a seed oil, isn't the enemy. The industrial version is. If you choose cold-pressed organic canola oil, you get a great source of alpha-linolenic acid, a short-chain omega-3. Alpha-linolenic acid blocks the absorption of LPSs, those little pieces of you-know-what. So what's not to like? Now, just remember, it's not just what we eat. It's how the food that we eat is grown, sourced, and processed. So when you choose organic canola oil, you're choosing not just for your health, but you're choosing for the planet too.
More amazing episodes just like this one. Watch now.
My 5 favorite oils in order. Okay, my absolute favorite, it's got to be